In this video, I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't build an email list. Okay, that's kind of clickbait. So right away, I'm going to tell you that if you plan to sell anything, physical products, digital products, services, whatever, you should build an email list or have some place that you own where you can communicate and build relationships with your audience or customers. Like I talked about in this video, it's tempting to think of the number of subscribers or the size of your list as the most important measure. But when it comes to actually making sales, you're better off with hundreds of people who really love you or your brand than you are with thousands of people who just signed up because you did an iPad giveaway. You don't want a crowd, you want a community. So how do you build a community? Focus on these three things. Cast a smaller net. You can give yourself an advantage even before you start collecting email addresses by getting more specific about who your newsletter is for. It's tempting to be more general, and honestly, this is something I struggle with a lot. But the more specific you get, the more the right person will feel like, hey, this newsletter is exactly what I need. And it doesn't have to be a huge shift. Using myself as an example, I originally set out to make my newsletter for businesses or brands who were trying to make better video content. But then I decided to focus specifically on helping individual creators make great videos. While it's not as specific as I could get, it's still more compelling for people who call themselves creators. 2, use a relevant sign-up incentive. If you offer some kind of lead magnet, make sure it's relevant to the audience you're trying to attract. Maybe you give away a free ebook about productivity that you wrote 5 years ago, but you've since focused down on bullet journaling. Providing something more relevant, like a bullet journal starter's guide, is a much more compelling offer and will attract people who are a much better match for your audience. 3, encourage and honor interaction. An email newsletter doesn't have to be a one-way conversation. If you ask a question and encourage feedback, you open up the possibility of having real back and forth with people. This can open the door for all kinds of possibilities. You can get ideas for new products, learn about ways you can improve existing ones, and even make sales. If you have the right tools, you can even take it a step further and provide a place where your audience can interact with one another. An audience that can interact with one another can build its own culture and identity, which ultimately deepens loyalty and leads to more sales. There's a lot more we could get into, but the bottom line is, don't spend your valuable time and energy building a crowd for your email list. Instead, build a community. Speaking of email lists, if you're a creator who wants to level up your video content, I share a weekly newsletter with tips for improving your video quality and workflow. And when you sign up, you'll get my vidation framework. That's a play on video and ideation. It's not a super creative name. This guide will help you come up with a list of great topics that are relevant and will provide value for your audience. You can sign up at bentolson.podia.com/newsletter and you'll get the guide right away. If you're building an email list, tell me in the comments about what you do and who you're trying to reach, and then share a link to your newsletter. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.